Raphael, welcome. I see that you are in cahoots with your sister, finally. Come on in, come in. And she gestures you into this immaculately organized library and office.
Thank you, Mr. Noodles.
Inside the office is all manner of books, and her crystal ball and
time to go home.
Familiar rests on a perch.
But first, I will stop by Circle K.
And everything in her office has been built with extra step ladders and ladders
and get some
for her to get
chocolate
up to everything that she
buns.
needs to do so. So she clambers up a small ladder up to this high chair that is her table in front of her desk, and everything has extra support so she doesn't seem to acknowledge or even matter that she is a very small person in a world that was not built for someone of her diminutive size. But she sits down and she says, "Well, what wild goose chase has your sister sent you here on, Wrath?"
Well, there was a incident in Tearhaven, and afterwards we were sent on a mission to go to Shaftburg to investigate more issues with delirium.
Oh, you're looking into delirium. Fantastic. It's very fascinating. My favorite subject, of course, right now. I, in fact, just got back from the Academy Tower of Drakenheim. It was very exciting. Yes.
You've been there.
Yes.
How recently?
Yes. Well, it would have been now a few months ago, but apparently a promising newly inducted, everyone is saying a former hedge wizard was found by your sister and led an expedition that recovered the Academy Tower of Drakenheim, and for that he was granted the rank of Master Wizard. Very interesting fellow, seems quite disturbed, named Sebastian Crow. Would have been, I think he was friends with River, got kicked out for some sort of incident. Eldrick's never told me about it, but nevertheless, the city is horrifically disturbing. I mean, it's so bad. You wouldn't believe it. It's awful. And of course, the people there are just so optimistic that there's any hope whatsoever. It's really quite charming, but fascinating nonetheless.
So they've reclaimed the tower. That's incredible.
Oh, it's absolutely. The situation, of course, is rather dire, but questionable. But in any case, for the time being, we do have moderate levels of function there. I did opt to not teleport back here, mind you. It seems to be about a 20% survival rate for that.
I'm nodding, but then I just slowly turn to Wrath, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
tower,
20% is not great.
Are towers good? Do we want towers, Wrath?
That tower was decommissioned, or at least maybe more perfectly abandoned years ago.
Yes, indeed. And the spot on the Archmage Council still hasn't been filled. But in any case, it was a fascinating journey, and I was very, very pleased to see all the interesting things. And of course, it has shed all sorts of light on my work here in Todsfeld.
Have you...
What kind of work you're working on?
Yes.
You mentioned you're interested in delirium. It's your favorite subject. Do you mind sharing a little bit of your work?
These are my colleagues. They also work for the Academy. Wrath hired us all.
Rudy Whitaker. Nice to meet you. I'm Sheriff of Tearhaven, here along with Wrath and
Very nice. Nice to meet you all. And she says, I have some jasmine tea if you like it.
I'll take one.
Mighty fine, thank you.
That would be great, Master Noodles. Can I get the pot for you?
No need. And several of her unseen servants. Yeah.
In my head, I go, stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
What are you talking about? Master Noodles is a fine hostess in her right mind, bringing us jasmine tea with the noodles.
Raph, I was just laughing at something you said earlier. Nothing related to this moment right now.
Oh, you think my name's funny? Ah, I think my name's funny too.
I think it's just interesting, all the last names that you have to be an Academy member. Noodles, Crow. What's next? Like...
Oh, well, of course. That's because when we're members of the Academy, many members of the Academy give up our old names. We can't inherit anyways. And we pick our own names. This is once we finish our training. I loved Noodles growing up, so I said I'm going to call myself Noodles.
Solid logic. I would pick a last name of things that I'd like to, but my family name goes back generations, so I can't be feeling right about giving up my history,
Master Noodles, I must insist the research. We've traveled many weeks. We've found curious places that this delirium has traveled, and it warps the weaker folk in ways I cannot even begin to describe. We've encountered creatures from other worlds who have traveled here and used it as a form of control in the mind. My colleague here has become quite proficient at decapitation to remove the offending brain that burrows its way into the host and takes over. It is. What have you discovered?
That is so cool. Her face is just beaming, and she's hanging on to every word as you describe it. That is incredible. You mean to say that you have encountered... Now, do you know, were these creatures conjured from other worlds, or were they creatures afflicted by a physical... Say there was a physical affliction that racked their bodies as a result of contamination from delirium?
Oh, well, from our observations of what we've seen, there was a portal of some sort that probably led in a creature, but there were a bunch of townsfolk that were affected in the minds by these creatures, and some of them had physical burrows in their heads, so you could say a bit of both.
Yeah, there seem to be links. They almost seem like separate incidents that have melded together in our thoughts. We've encountered both creatures affected directly by the delirium, and then those that have traveled here in search of power and wisdom to shape their own needs.
I tried to eat my brain.
Incredible! That's amazing!
Grappled right onto his head.
It latched onto your cranium and tried to... How? Did it try to cut open your head and eat it out of your head like a bowl, or did it try to go in through the nose?
Suckling on his face.
The memory of the moment is a little... It all happened very quickly, and I don't really like talking about it. It just kind of latched on, and then there was a lot of goo. There was a lot of goo.
Just pat you on the back, say, "It's all right." Well,
and then
you're safe here.
There was an itching and like a warmth on the top of my head, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And then I the stars in its cloak.
And this goo.
And she starts asking you like really, really in-depth questions about like the physical properties and the viscosity of the goo. And she
the goo.
And as she does so, like she looks at you intently, and she opens up a book and starts writing. But as she's writing, another book falls off the shelf, and a pen gets up and starts writing as well on it. And she's just writing intently. And she's like, this goo, yes, and it was it. Would you say it was more like spittle or slobber?
Wilhelm starts off and be like, I don't want to answer these questions, I don't want to. And then by the end of this, he's like laying on a couch, like giving him a full like. And then there was tentacles, and there was wrapping around me, and then it just disappeared into who knows where. And Wilhelm's just like crying on his couch, explaining the story of what happened.
Now, I must say, you had much more fascinating than I did. Can you hear me now?
Once again.
Oh.
You guys cannot hear me?
There we go.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. And everyone in the world can hear me? Great.
No. No, try it again.
I'm gonna
Alright.
You're popping in and out.
No. Okay, well, let's just do this. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay, very good. That is likely because I have two microphones, one that I talk to you guys with, and one that I talk to everybody else with. So that's that would be why. Okay, so that's the things happen. Might just be my headphones. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't bad. Okay. Okay. So we're back in business. So with that, the question that she, Rudy, you were going to ask a question or say something. What did you want to say?
Now, I heard you're mighty interested in delirium, and that's great. Tell you all the information that we found so far, but I have noticed that when we came up, one of the captains happened to have a modified weapon that had delirium built into it. Do y'all have anything to do with that?
Oh, yes. The Duke has been slowly procuring delirium weapon, Academy forged delirium weaponry for all of his elite soldiers and elite guard. Now, I should assure you, of course, that the process of creating a delirium forged blade and weaponry has been one that is well developed by the Academy, and it renders the delirium inert, allowing the power to be channeled through the blade, but not causing the other more erratic effects that we see in delirium.
So it's the raw delirium that's really causing all this nastiness around the area.
Delirium is exceptionally difficult to work, but we have discovered several arcane catalysts that can be used, combined with a process that locks it with lead glass. It is very difficult for us to manufacture, but compared to other processes of creating magical weapons and armor and the resulting results, a delirium forged suit of armor is nearly impervious. A delirium forged blade can crack through adamantium. The quality of equipment that we can forge, a spell focus created with a delirium shard, will give a laser-like focus to any spell that passes through it. The potential for what we can create with delirium is frankly limitless, but it does have dangers, and that is why I have been interested in Tudsfeld in particular.
But what you ought to know is that there are a bunch of Illyrians on their way to try to convince the Duke that they should be on the same side. And I don't know how they're gonna take kindly to seeing all this delirium around after the discussion we just had with them.
They certainly will not, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the Duke's problem, not mine. But certainly they'll find lots to be upset about here, especially if they do know anything about delirium itself.
Oh, but it might become the Academy's problem if the Duke changes his tune about using delirium.
It might, but by right, under the Edicts of Lumen, the
investigation into delirium. What is it about Todsfeld that has piqued your curiosity?
Todsfeld is a fascinating long-term study of mine, and a suspicion that arose in my own for several years, and one that was confirmed only in the past few. You see, Todsfeld lies downstream from Drakkenheim along the Dran River. And we had long speculated that the river might be a channel for trace amounts of delirium to travel down. Todsfeld seems to confirm that that is indeed occurring. And much more particularly than other settlements such as Aldbrook. Of course, was burned almost to the ground in the Civil War, so the population there is quite depleted. But even though Todsfeld suffered a great attack, it's an industrial hub, and most importantly, it seems that much of the contaminants that were coming down from Drakkenheim were being built up and caught by the Todsfeld Dam. And when Manfred von Kessel ordered his soldiers to blow the dam, it released a massive amount of contaminants into the lower city. And to this day, the common folk of the lower city of Todsfeld are suffering from delirium contamination. Fortunately, few of them have... Fortunately, it seems that few of them have become creatures. Most of them have simply died. But it continues to this day.
It's horrible.
That unintentional side effects, I think, of the Civil War is that the war itself could have caused some of the spread of delirium, and had it end up in places that it didn't belong. It's more tragic thinking that the breaking of the dam, which was a strategic move in the scheme of the war, but is unseen that the impact of it would last this long.
Well, it's difficult to tell if the impact is only something that is recent or is building up. Of course, it's only been a few short years since the dam burst, and it's only been a few short years, 15, since the meteor fell. It takes time for contaminants to move down a river as long as the Dran. So it does happen, and perhaps even now they will be moving further out to sea. We shall see. But in the meantime, I have been able to observe some very interesting subjects, and it has provided me with a wealth of knowledge of, well, how to help people that are suffering from this contamination.
You figured out some sort of solution? Something to help these poor folks?
Oh yes. Certainly we can ease their suffering and make sure that they die rather than go mad and transform into something. But the Duke is a very interesting case.
Duke is afflicted?
Yes. Both him and his wife. His wife died, of course, several years ago. But the Duke has been surviving with delirium contamination for at least 4 years now.
That's dangerous.
Your guess is as good as mine, but yes, of course, it's very dangerous. But it's also a wonderful opportunity for us to learn how someone might survive.
Do the people of Todsfeld know that their Duke is...
No, they think he has syphilis, which is why the Flamekeeper won't see him.
This sounds very fascinating. I applaud your efforts to study delirium further for the Academy, Master Noodles. I worry, though, I echo Rudy's concern with the oncoming Illyrians. If they attempt to request an audience, they may not see the same way you or the Duke, and if the Duke becomes in trouble, it may become the Academy's problem.
And what are the Illyrians going to do? How many of them are there?
At least 20 or more.
20 is 20, and that's a lot of stabby people. But the Duke does have a very well-equipped guard, all of whom have delirium-forged blades. So if the Paladins want to cause trouble, then we can see whose metal is best.
Master Noodles, if I may, the thing that frightens me most is that it sounds like we may be on the verge of another war. So they are coming here one way or another to seek aid in their grand march for destroying all of the delirium in Westmar. It sounds like we don't have to worry about whose side Todsfeld is going to be on. It sounds like the Duke is well bought in to what delirium offers. My fear then, and perhaps as a outside party of being nobility, you can attest to this, that does this not strike you as possible a spark that could ignite a much larger fire?
If you don't think the fire's already burning, I've got news for you. That spark was lit a long time ago.
With the Illyrians?
It's already burning in their hearts. Look at it. Look at this situation. It's awful. Straight up.
Then how do we stop another not a civil war, how do we stop another war between Illyria and Westmar?
In my view, it's probably inevitable.
Oh.
But we shall see. I mean, if Illyria and Westmar want to go to war, well, the Academy will provide its services, as it has always done, to those who pay for them. We are not allowed, as the Academy, to participate in a war in any direct manner, but nothing states that we cannot provide weapons and equipment to those who pay, and if the Illyrians do not want to buy what we are making, well, then that's their funeral.
Does the Duke here, I see he's obviously going along with what the Academy has to offer. What are his thoughts on the supposed new ruler of Dreckenheim, or heir? We heard about that on our way. We're mighty curious about it.
You can ask him yourself at dinner.
Right. Not a touchy subject, though.
The Duke is very opinionated.
Master Noodles, I was able to acquire some remnants of the brain spawn.
Fantastic.
It would be a credit to myself and to the others if you could research it for us and tell us what you think. Also, my fingers are in this jar, and I don't know how to get them back on. It's a little frustrating.
Oh my! How did that happen?
We were cut off in a portal.
Wait, they're still wiggling.
I'm getting better at controlling them, but it would be appreciated if you could help me reattach them. Here, and I'm gonna hand them. Hand her the jar. Hand her the jar.
She takes out a glove
and she takes the jar and she starts working. She gets a glove and she starts pushing your fingertips into the fingertips of the glove, and she says, "Try this," and she offers you the glove, and you put the glove on, and it's kind of whole, like it feels weird. She's like, "Let me iterate on that."
This is a fantastic start. Thank you.
Wrath, what about that sphere that you found of the finished delirium?
Is this... Yeah, I'm going to pull out the Portal of Power. Is this an Academy-made design? Or one of your own concoction?
Oh, where did you find this?
From a magic user in an elven ruin.
Interesting. I don't know much about the elves, I'm afraid.
No, that doesn't seem to be where the link is, but they were quite powerful in terms of their abilities. I did not recognize them as a Academy member. What else did we take from them? Just a bunch of potions, right? And a spell book? Or no, there was no spell book.
If you'd like, though, just before... I know you're off to Sea River, but if there is anything that you need, I do have a supply of equipment and other things that you are welcome to purchase. Potions, scrolls, and the like.
Oh, what do you have?
I'll give you give you all a list, and probably before we wrap up tonight, we won't be leaving Toddsfeld, so you guys can peruse the items. But she has a few healing potions and scrolls and stuff if you would like to purchase them from her as well.
Thank you, Master Noodles. It has been an honor to see you
I'm gonna
again.
turn off the stream now.
Class
Start my
years ago.
Christmas vacation. Go to a hotel to celebrate my wife's father's 70th birthday, which is gonna be fun.